Welcome to the Analog Gamers Podcast, a short podcast on board games and board gaming experiences. Here are your hosts.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Brent.
And I'm Frank.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. We are starting Season 3.
Season 3!
And we will be talking about today what we have played over the past month while we've been away, and also some of the things that we're going to talk about as this season progresses. So, first of all, has anybody played anything brand new to them that they've never played before? You have, Shane.
Finally, Frank, after you've talked about Acquire so much, I played it last game day. And we kind of had a little bit of a runaway leader problem in the game. All of the mergers that happened kind of all just went to one guy, right?
To John, yeah.
To John, yeah. And I don't even know that any of us were playing a strategy that was better or worse than the other ones. It seemed like every single merger went his way.
So Zach said something about that at the end. He said that I played well. The problem was it just didn't go my way. Two weird things about that game of Acquire, that session of Acquire.
Yeah.
One is that the mergers, he kept getting the tiles that would help him, and pretty much nobody else was. The other thing was, I have never had Acquire go to the point where you played until there were no more legal plays.
Yeah.
Most of the time, each corporation, it gets to the size at which you can call the game over and somebody calls the game over. But we never hit that point with this game. We had three big but no super large corporations that would allow you to do that. And that really, I was amazed that happened. That really was a wonky game.
And it wasn't close. It was.
Oh no, I
close.
came in second. He had me more than doubled.
Yeah.
And so that was not a typical game of Acquire. Brent, what about you? You weren't in on that game.
I was not in on that game. I thought there was a second rule to end it, though, when two corporations got to a certain size. Is there not? Am I making that up in my head?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe there should be.
Maybe there should be.
Over the month, what we've been playing a lot of has been the campaign for Hero Realms. And by a lot, I mean we've played 4 times.
And by we, you mean you and
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
And by we, I mean Lindsay and I. And we've only really won once. We've won twice. We realized we messed up some rules, so we've really only won once.
Oh, you cheated and you won.
But we found out it's going to be a long campaign, I think, to get through. It is harder than a lot of co-ops, I guess, are. I'm interested to see how that scales up with multiple players, though, because it seemed harder than we were expecting. Granted, the first time we played with what ended up being veteran rules. That was not a good idea. Don't do that. Until you're ready for it, don't do it. But even at the intermediate and the beginner rules, we were having problems trying to get through the decks and kill the minions that are there. So
I got 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
First of all, you have not particularly been in the past a fan of co-ops. You've now been playing Hogwarts Battle and this. Are you finding co-ops to be? Are you starting to like them?
I've never had a problem with co-ops as much as I've had a problem with potential players in co-ops.
Okay, I think you've told me that before.
So
I completely get that.
The co-op game itself, I don't have a problem with that structure.
This has to be with the right people.
I can play games with different structures, with different people, then I'm willing to play a co-op.
Okay, I get that. The second question is, between those two, because you have 3 at least co-ops. You have those 2 and you have...
We have Forbidden Island, I think.
Okay.
We have the Hogwarts Battle. We have Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu.
I was thinking of that one.
And the Hero Realms.
Okay, so of those, particularly these of the Hogwarts and the Hero Realms, which ones are better at 2 players? And the reason I say is because a lot of co-ops aren't that great at 2 players.
I think both of them play well at 2 players. I don't know if I can answer which one's better because I haven't played Hero Realms at a higher number yet. So both of them played really well at 2 players. I didn't find a problem with either one of them. And I think some of that's probably because, at least from the Hero Realms perspective, it's coming from Star Realms, which is inherently a 2-player game.
Yes, it is.
So building on that's easy to do. Hogwarts Battles, I was surprised actually worked as well as a 2-player, and I thought it worked well as a 4-player.
Yeah, I agree.
Shane, you played that with us,
Yeah.
so I
And-
thought it worked great at both sides.
Well, that's good.
And the good thing about the Hogwarts Battles, is even though it's co-op, there's really not an opportunity to kind of get in the cycle of groupthink or like overanalyze with each other, because you're all fairly acting independently just towards a common goal. So
Well,
I
and
thought that was a good one.
they're both deck builders, so maybe, I mean, they're both going to have that same kind of thing where you have your own deck and you're working through that, and the only
Right.
real interaction is that you might be able to help someone else occasionally. And that was even less in Hero Realms. In Hero Realms, once you get past all your minions that are attacking you, then you can help the other person and attack their minions. So you have to get through everything else to be able to even help someone else, or you're blocked off from them. So
That did make me think. Jen and I have played the co-op expansion for Star Realms, and that's pretty good.
I imagine they're about the same, since the same,
Yeah. No,
same
yeah.
people.
I distinctly remember we went out for ice cream one time, and we were like, "It's so nice. Let's take Star Realms," and we just like played Star Realms at the ice cream shop.
Which copy was that?
That was Frank's copy.
Because
so-
I'm the one who has the add-ons
So you don't have to-
that they could have
you don't
played the
have to worry
co-op
about it.
version.
I did. So Frank, I was going through the games I got to bring back to you that I've borrowed, the stack of them, and I panicked because I thought there was stuff missing from Star Realms, and I couldn't find these cards. But then I realized that they were in Brent's edition and not in yours. So yeah, so I had that panic for a few seconds of thinking I had lost pieces to your game, but luckily I didn't. So
You lost pieces to Brent's game.
no, I didn't
No.
lose any pieces.
He thought pieces of my game were in your game.
Yeah, and they weren't. So thank goodness for that. All right. Well, Frank, you haven't had it for so long, you probably don't remember what's in there anyway. So.
But it's all logged on Board Game Geek, so
Okay, you can go look
I'll
at
figure
every
it
single
out.
card. No, it's
So-
all there. You'll get it back eventually.
So I think the only thing I got to play that I was really excited about was, as I try and work through games on my shelves that have not been played, was playing Chicago Express, which I really enjoyed, but I think I need to play a few more times to figure out exactly how much I enjoyed it. It was not at all what I expected. So I thought it would be, what I did like about it was when you auction off the stocks, the money goes into the corporation, and then you use the money from the corporation to go into the railroads, which I thought was I had not experienced that before, and I liked that mechanic a lot. It felt like it was a kind of reflected the way the market works and stuff.
I also played a brand new game, Twilight Struggle. I mean, brand new to me.
Not
Obviously
brand new,
not
though.
brand new. Twilight Struggle, which I picked up for like $2.13.
Who did you play this with?
Myself.
Okay,
Okay.
And I did win.
how could you lose?
It was close. It was close. I'm pretty sure I got, a quarter of the rules wrong, and some of it's
Yeah.
confusing. Like, it's a pretty complex gameplay experience. The rules aren't necessarily incredibly complex. I mean, you draw cards and play cards, but sometimes the ways they interact and how everything goes got pretty complicated, and realized that it's probably a game I will never get Jenna to play with me, but that's okay.
Probably not. So
Or maybe once. Maybe I can fool her into it once.
Well, you'll
and
never
we'll get
try,
through
never
half of the
second
game
time.
and then never again.
So for the people who are listening, we've talked about most of these other games before to some extent, but we've never talked about Twilight Struggle. Why don't you describe it?
Yeah, so Twilight Struggle is all about the Cold War between the U.S. and the USSR. And in Twilight Struggle, you're kind of recreating a lot of the events. A lot of the cards actually have real historical events that happened. And the cool thing about the game is there's no actual fighting between the U.S. and the USSR. It takes place across the rest of the world, which I say is cool for a board game. I guess historically was kind of not a fantastic move by the two countries to
Better than
manipulate others.
nuking it out,
I
so
mean,
to
yeah.
speak.
And so one person's playing the U.S., one's playing USSR, and you're trying to gain control of either Europe to win or different areas and complete different things to win the game. So there's probably at least over 30 countries. I'm sure a lot more than that you're playing cards in and having influence in and taking control of. And the game board itself is pretty huge. It took up most of my table, which is exciting. I really enjoy big games. But yeah, so it's been for a long time one of the highest ranked games on Board Game Geek. It's exclusively 2 players. And, for playing myself, I thought my opponent was pretty equally matched and charismatic, so I thought it was a good game.
So which character won?
The USSR one.
Okay.
So I gotta ask this question, was the U.S. hockey team winning the gold one of the cards?
I don't remember. It might have been.
I'm just really curious. So I
didn't get through all the cards, so
it might have been further in the deck.
Yeah.
So I did think of one other game that I managed to play, and that is at work. I have occasionally, when Kay's going to work late, I will send out an email to a bunch of people and say, hey, I'm going to bring in a game on this night. We're going to start playing. And I brought in Star Trek Panic, since this month is April, and April is the month of first contact between the Vulcans and the humans. So I took in Star Trek Panic, which is a co-op game.
I totally knew that.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
So and it's almost last month.
Yeah.
So this will post. By the time this posts, it'll be last month. That's right. So I took the game. It is a co-op game. It's similar to Castle Panic, if you played that.
I have.
But I was told it was more complex, more gamerly. So you on the Enterprise, and you can rotate the Enterprise and quote unquote move it forward, which only means you're not actually moving the ship. You're moving all of the issues that are in front of you closer. So, and then basically you have these missions you have to accomplish. And they have different challenges that you have to do in this game on the board or in card play. And they all reflect the original series episodes. So it was, particularly for me, who was a big fan of the original series, that was a great game. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. We did win. We seemed to win more easily than I thought we would, and I'm not sure what that's a reflection of. Earlier that week, I had played a 2-player game, just put 2 characters out. I think it was Kirk and Sulu, and start playing, and I was barely hanging on. And I didn't play it all the way to the end because it's roughly a 2-hour game. It's a long game.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to learn the mechanism, so I didn't play it all the way through. But I don't think we ever had very much of the Enterprise damage in the game at work. So, but I did enjoy it. It was fun.
So do you guys often, like when you first get a game, try it out and kind of play it on your own, even if it's just like a few turn playthrough to kind of get familiar with it? Or
if I'm going to teach it, yes.
Okay.
No, I usually get Lindsay to sit down and play it with me.
There you go. Yeah. Jenna won't.
Right.
If I don't know the rules super well, Jenna's like, I don't have the patience for you. So.
I play it with Lindsay because then she sits there and asks me all the questions that I forgot to look at the rules for.
That's smart.
So that I
although
learn them.
I gotta start inviting Lindsay over to play.
I find when I play, there's a whole lot of situations that come up that's like, yeah, that was not obvious to me, and I go digging through the rules. A lot of times it's in the rules and I just missed it, but yeah, that's going through it and I realize, oh, how would I do this? And I learn a lot that way. We will have to do, I don't know if it's in some of what we talked about doing for the season, but at some point in time we do have to do an episode on teaching games and techniques for doing that. But that's not today's show.
So I had 2 other games that I really played. One was a print and play that someone brought to game night called Now Boarding. I don't know if you've played it, Shane, or whether you've just looked at it.
I have. I think we played 2 or 3 games.
Played it? I didn't think the game was that great. I thought it was missing something to make me interested in the game. Like I said before, the game has a mechanism in it where after each turn everybody collaborates and you have 30 seconds to make actions and something else happens during that 30 seconds. We didn't play that way, and I think we missed something not playing that way.
Yeah, so Now Boarding, you're trying to route passengers all across the U.S. on airplanes, and you can only carry so many of them, and your plane can only go so fast as you go, and you can add things to your plane to get more passengers or speed. Yeah, I enjoyed it the few times I played it. I kind of naturally try to move games along in their speed because I don't like just sitting there. So there were several times I was like, let's just do it and see what happens. And the first time we played at the end, we thought we won, but we actually lost. So maybe it's because we thought we were doing really well that we went a little faster.
Now, in fairness, we were playing with 2 babies sitting around, so we had to take that somewhat slower, but
Yeah.
that ends up affecting things.
Yeah, it felt like a game that
You don't need a bottle right now. Let me finish my turn. That doesn't work well with baby.
I have nothing else to add. What's the second game, right?
The second game is called Santorini, and that is a 2 or 3 player game. Just kind of an odd mix of numbers. But you're on the island of Santorini, and you are acting as the gods, building the city of Santorini. And the idea is if you can get your builder to the top level of the city as you're building them up, and you can only go 1 level at a time, move backward and forward across the board, then you win. You've gotten to the highest point in the city. That being said, because Santorini is a city of domes, if someone caps off your towers with a dome, you can't stand there, so it doesn't count. I know you played that one with us when you
Yes.
came over once,
I
right?
played with you. We just played 2 players.
Did Lindsay not? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fairly good game as a 2-player game. It's an abstract, which is nice because I don't have very many of them.
Right. I liked it. It would have been interesting to play it as a multiplayer game because it's less predictable. And that's true of most games, but with that game, I don't know that it would have made that much difference.
I played it with 3, but the third person wasn't really into it, so I don't know
that's
if
not
she
going to
helped.
work.
It's also listed as a 4 or 6 player game, playing in teams. I don't know how well that would work. So, where each, because in the game you have 2 guys you control when it's 2 or 4. And so at 4, you split those between the 2 players, and at 6, the same. That's a little, I think that would be a little crowded and a little slow, so I'm not sure how much I'd care to play that way.
Most games I've found that say, or you can split this into teams, it doesn't really work all that well.
Yeah, if it's not a party/word association game.
Right. And a lot of those.
I'm not about that.
Right. And a lot of those don't even talk about splitting into teams. They just lend themselves to it. So
I think the last one that we all did is we finally got together and played some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Frank's character died. We just need to get that out there.
Right off the bat.
It seems to happen quite a bit.
Off the bat.
This seems to happen quite a bit when we play RPGs.
Well, he just finally got to the point where he decided that, as hurt as he was going to make an effort to take down the big guy.
Frank came up with this like 10 minutes after he was dead. He was just sitting there.
No, he didn't. And I didn't say it out loud, and then I went after him, and it didn't work. But that's okay.
It did not.
He did not realize that was not where he should have been.
Correct.
I might have saved the rest, y'all.
You might have.
We'll never know. But
there were no cats this time. So
there were no. Frank did not drown rescuing a cat. So at least he died to a bugbear. So
maybe only because there was no water.
I guess there's some honor in sacrificing yourself to a bugbear. And then did y'all just loot his body and leave him there, or did y'all take him out?
I specifically carried his body out and was planning to either bury it or burn it. And we haven't gotten that far yet. So.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Because I left everything in the room, and everyone else apparently decided not to look in the room.
That's true.
They just walked out?
They just walked out.
Brent's not salty at all about this. So hopefully we're kind of all hitting a busy period, but hopefully we'll get together soon and keep playing.
We're in the middle of graduation time.
So Frank, what are we talking about this season?
So the main focus of this season is going to be addressing 2 concerns. One is, okay, so we've heard about these games. How do we go about buying them? How do we go about choosing which games we want to try out? How do we even know what is possible? There are literally thousands of games published every year. How do you sort through all that and figure out what it is that A is quality and B is an interest to you? So that's one.
Become a billionaire, buy every single game.
Okay, when that works for you, let me know.
I will.
You still have to find people to play with you.
Which is the second topic.
Or I could just be the nice collector and just have everything still in the shrink wrap. No,
that doesn't work.
I would play them all by myself. Who am I kidding?
So that is actually the second topic is, okay, so now you've got some games. You're looking for people to play. We're going to talk about how do you find people to play with, either publicly available or inviting your friends or just your family, and what works there, what doesn't work there. How do you do that so that it's enjoyable for everybody? Because there will be, most likely, it will not be Nirvana. It will not be a utopia. There will be some things that don't work well in the dynamics of the group, and we'll talk about some of those issues too.
Or even if you don't have any games and you're just looking off of people with collections to mooch off of.
Yeah,
like I have done.
borrow.
Although you could probably start your own podcast on that.
Or long-term borrow. That's very true.
Well, that is a point, is that you don't have to own every game. I mean, I'm never going to own Power Grid because both of you own it, and the people I'm most likely to play with include you guys. So why would I buy it on top of that? I'm pretty sure you guys would let me borrow it, and I could hold it hostage till I get other games back. But
we'll have a hostage exchange.
I don't think I have any right now.
No, I don't think you do either. So, in fact, I was talking to Saturday night. Kay and I went to dinner with friends of ours in Newark, Ohio, in the Columbus area, and they have a guy that they go to church with that has like 1,200 games.
What?
And this guy apparently has quite. So I'm sitting here thinking, Mario and Michelle are like, well, we should have you guys. You guys, maybe we can get together and play. And I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, but what I'm really hoping is he has Terraforming Mars. So I can try Terraforming Mars and not have to buy it. I think I would like it.
There you go.
So anyway, that's going to be our season. And so you've got a little bit of what we played, a little bit about this season. We look forward to watching our numbers go up as you guys spread the word about our podcast. And hopefully you will enjoy what we have to say this season. Thanks.
This has been the Analog Gamers Podcast. Thanks for listening. Please spread the word about our podcast, which can be found at theanaloggamers.libsyn.com. You can email us at theanaloggamers@gmail.com or find us on Facebook as The Analog Gamers. Our intro and outro are recorded by Daniel Feldman. Logo artwork provided by Tabitha Jordan Nichols. The Analog Gamers Podcast is licensed under Attribution, No Commercial, Non-Derivative, Creative Commons 4.0 license.